First up, guys, I've got beers for you here from Carnival Brewery, so you can crack into those.
Hey. Sorry, Dan. It's okay. Tastes great though.
So you've just released your new album, Our Guest Can't Be Named, and you've also just started the tour. Your first date was last night, I believe, right? How was the opening night of the tour?
It was awesome.
Yeah, really fun. It was good to be back on a tour because we haven't toured for a year. We did one show in the summer, so it feels a bit weird, but nice to be back and playing in front of people.
Not feeling rusty? You came straight back into it.
Oh yeah, we're feeling rusty.
Yeah,
Right.
we're feeling rusty.
My favourite song on the new album is Bats, I think. Could you tell me a little bit about how that song came about and the sort of story behind the lyrics in that? Because I don't completely understand it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone ever will. Yeah, I don't know. I sort of had that idea of like a, because it starts with a natural fade in sort of thing. I wanted to try and get us all to play as if you were sort of, digitally fading in a song, but do it, human style. And then just sort of like let it gradually get more intense. I think as well we had been playing an old song called Double World, which is sort of just based around like one note, sort of droning. Kind of wanted to do something like that again with it. Yeah,
Sweet.
so just something a bit drony. Because a few people have mentioned that one, and maybe it is because it's kind of different to a lot of our other stuff, really.
Something else different about the new album is you had it digitally mixed, because I know you guys are kind of loyal to the analog thing and you use tape for all your other albums and that kind of thing. Was it a difficult decision to say, right, we're going to do it with computers this time, or how did that sort of come about?
We just wanted more clarity this time, and the other albums they all had that to a certain degree, but yeah, I think that we just wanted to go down that route for once.
Yeah.
I mean, we discussed it, didn't we? And
Yeah, it was so much easier because Luke, who records it, he sort of tracks it as if he's kind of mixing as he goes along. So the drums and then anything that goes on after it is sort of leveled accordingly to the last instrument. So by the time every instrument's on, it's kind of just mixed already. So with a lot of the tracks, they were just, the version on the album is just what was sent to us as just something to listen to, listen back to what we did that day. And so yeah, some of them weren't even mixed really. They were just kind of as they were. And with like recording to tape and then mixing it down to another tape machine, you're a bit sort of, you just really end up pissing off an engineer, because they have to redo the whole mix again, So it just gave us a little bit more freedom to change things, but then we ended up not really changing much.
Do you think this has converted you guys a little bit towards the digital side of things, or are you going to stick with all the
I think the
analog gear,
hybrid
or?
of both is like the best way about
Yeah.
it, definitely. I
Yeah.
think it's such a good compromise, just using both. Definitely benefits one another.
I read that you have the song Maria on the album is one that you've had in the bank for about 10 years, which I thought was interesting because a lot of bands get to a stage in their career and they look back on older stuff and they sort of like don't really like playing it anymore, or they don't look back on it positively, which is nice to hear that you don't feel that way. And I think that's cool, because I really hate when bands refuse to play their old stuff. And I just wanted to know how you guys feel about that. If you go and see a band that you've been into for 10 albums or something and they refuse to play the one that you got into them with, how do you feel about that?
Well, we sort of like rejected our first album sound, like basically as soon as it was out, we just started sort of shying away from it, I think, because it had a lot more sort of exposure than anything else we've done. And I personally maybe just sort of wanted to just, leave it alone for a while. But then I think we all kind of realized that we did it once and then just never really came back to that sort of sound. So we had that song and thought it was good. And I think we weren't even sure if it was released or not in some way or another, but
There's a version of it on YouTube, but it was just a live version, and it is slightly different. We changed it a little bit, but it just sort of sounded. It kind of fitted with all the other new songs, So it just kind of seemed right that we put it on there.
The reason I say that is because me and the camera crew here have been following you guys since the first album.
Nice.
And yeah, we've, sort of like all of it. We're not, leaning towards any particular one. When you first were around and we were first aware of you, you were in with like, on like NME tours with like Fat White Family and Slaves and all those kind of bands. And we wanted to know if you felt like at that time that was like a scene, or was it just the press saying you guys go on tour together? How does that kind of thing work?
I feel like it kind of there was definitely a bit of a scene. Like it was a bit like, I don't know what you'd call that scene, like a bit like garage, like a lo-fi, like punk sound, I guess.
Yeah, there was, especially around.
Or psych was the word that was thrown around a lot. Psych, which I never thought we were.
Yeah.
But I can hear why people would say that.
I suppose it came around just a few years after the like Kooks thing, maybe. So any band that weren't Total Charms were sort of, anything that had a little bit of edge to it, I suppose, was just kind of bundled up together.
People were ready for something new.
I feel like that was a nice time for music, though. It was definitely fun.
Yeah, I mean, from like, because I wasn't in the band, and from like an outsider's perspective, like, yeah, around Brighton there was definitely like a buzz of bands at that period. So looking on from the outside, I felt that for sure, like that Drenge, that kind of era, wasn't it? Yeah, and like obviously it expanded out of Brighton, but it felt like a really kind of big moment for Brighton bands and surrounding areas and stuff.
Do you feel like that scene in any way still exists, or are there like bands that you're so in touch with and that from that era? Or
I think it's definitely the scene. There's still like a market for that music, but there's definitely like a new thing now. Doesn't mean that the old thing can't exist, because all the old bands are mostly still about, aren't they? So
yeah, we do stay in touch with some of them. Dem actually worked with Laurie from Soft Play.
Soft Play now, Slaves now, Soft Play,
on another project,
and they've come back and still smashing it, aren't they? Like for sure.
Yeah.
I think their sounds evolved too. Like I think it's people's sounds and band sounds have evolved for sure, but they're still about.
you said you've been described as like psychedelic, and I think when I hear your music, it's kind of like sinister sounding, kind of creepy, bit that kind of darker side of things. And it'd be cool to hear what you guys are into in terms of music that's a bit more, creepy in that way, and your favorite stuff that kind of inspired you to go that way with what you do.
I suppose the obvious one is like Black Sabbath, things like that, and like Bleach, Nirvana, those kind of things. Pentagram, just all the sort of stuff that revolved around like the darker side of
The Cramps.
Cramps, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Nick Cave.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, we just seem to all enjoy the more, sinister sounding things. I think we all appreciate the kind of more light-hearted psychedelic music and stuff. I kind of started appreciating it more sort of later on as well, and like certain prog things. But yeah, I don't know. We always sort of shied away from the psychedelic thing just because I think we were just thinking people were relating us to psychedelic bands of the time that we didn't. But yeah, I don't know. I embrace it now. Like if it's kind of trippy, I'm into it.
For the new album, you've done a vinyl release. Could you tell me a little bit about that, the sort of special release?
Yeah, it was a 7-inch, not vinyl, but like it was a 7-inch on an X-ray, which is something that they did. It was a label that told us about it.
Yeah.
In the Soviet era, it was music that was like speaking out against the government, what was banned, or like any sort of protest music or what have you. So they're not allowed. They weren't allowed to press it, basically. So they would. It was like a punk thing to press the music themselves, and all they could get their hands on was X-rays.
Kind of like, I guess, like the underground.
It's
vibe,
an underground thing, yeah.
Like, rebelling against what the government are kind of saying.
It's basically like a floppy disk. Sorry, not a floppy disk. What do you call it? A flexi disk.
Flexi disk.
Yeah. So they're like, just I guess they were just good enough to print like grooves into.
But maybe next time we'll do the floppy disk.
I'll do a floppy disk.
We'll do a floppy disk next time. Next time.
Yeah.
Then we'll upgrade to CD.
Just stay firm like 40 years out of date the whole time.
Yeah.
Nice.
big storage war.
But no, we thought it was a really cool idea to do one of those, like, and the fact it was a limited thing made it cool. And
So is it printed
They're
on
all-
real X-rays?
real
then?
X-rays, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
They were gonna do us, but I think we might have all got sick if we if we did.
Too
though.
much radiation.
Yeah,
Our sound guy got one though, didn't he? There was only seven.
Yeah,
Seven, and our
yeah.
sound guy was one of the
our,
people. That
our
got.
usual sound engineer that taught us, he told me, sorry, Greg, he was on the toilet and he saw the notification come through that it was on, and he's like, oh, I'll buy that. And like they only had a few out, and like he got one. We thought that was just like really like. He was like, no way. Yeah, it was just timing. It came up, and he was like, oh, I'll get one of them.
I'm going to give you the chance to form the perfect band. You get guitar, bass, drums, vocalist, and a mystery instrument. Anyone alive or dead? Who do you want to see for one night only?
Ginger Baker. I mean, he's not necessarily my favourite drummer. I just think he's wild, or was wild, and that might be quite fun.
Sweet.
Yeah, pretty psych.
You gotta have Tiny Tim on vocals. Yeah. Tiny. Yeah, just cut through whoever's playing in this band.
I'd take Interpol's Carlos D on bass.
Nice. Which leaves you with
Bring
guitarist.
back my boy Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Revive him.
Guitarist.
He's on guitar. Yeah, he's just picking.
Not
he's
even
doing
his main strength.
He's shredding.
Oh, he's great at guitar. He's
Yeah.
just his picking's insane. I mean, I've tried it. I can't do it.
What's our mystery instrument going to be?
Instrument.
Yeah, we got to come up with
Oud.
the oud.
Do you know any oud
What's an
players?
oud?
It's just the oud. We'll find someone to play it for you. Don't worry about it.
No,
It's
they
a dream
have
band.
a
You can have what you want.
player,
Yeah.
So
An oud that plays itself.
Yeah.
the Invisible Man.
What's next for the Wytches? What are you guys up to in the future?
Writing new stuff, always. Got that French tour after this. Yeah, writing new stuff, and I don't know, hopefully touring more. That's what we want to do.
Great. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks a lot for chatting to me today, guys.
Thank you. Cheers for the
Cheers.